Speaking of Roger Federer, I think this is going to kind of take us to our next point. Like that segue there. That was a pretty
Yeah,
good one, I
yeah,
think. I wanted to. We were texting about this earlier, and I want to talk about Novak a little bit, right?
yeah.
And I texted this to you. I was like, when we're talking about Madrid, we need to make sure we talk about Novak. But I didn't tell
Yeah.
you what I was thinking about Novak. And so,
Lay it on me, brother.
and so here it goes, right? And so my take right now is that we don't the end for the greats comes a lot faster than we think.
Okay.
And I had a hunch, and I started doing a little bit of digging, and when you start to look at like the end of Rafa's career, right? So Rafa just retired end of last year, right?
Yeah.
2024. In
Officially.
2020, officially, right? Yeah, officially.
Right.
2022, right? Rafa's 36 years old. He opens up the year with that. He had that foot injury end of 2021, comes back in 2022. He's like, all right, I'm gonna give it a try, right? Wins a warm up for Australian Open, wins Australian Open, wins Acapulco right after, finals Indian Wells, right? Had a rough clay, but won Roland Garros, semifinals of Wimbledon, and then pulls out against would have played Kyrgios. Is that
We're gonna
right?
play
Like beats
Curios.
Taylor,
Yep.
and then would have
Yep.
played Kyrgios
Taylor
wrong.
with the underhand serve, so to speak. Yep.
Exactly. And
Yep.
then I think he loses to Francis at the U.S. Open that year, or around the 16, something like that.
Yep.
Um,
Clearly
but
still
then
dinged up.
yeah, but then so case being, he shuts it down in 2023. He didn't play anything in 2023 besides the Australian Open,
Yep.
right? And then boom, 2024, he announces his retirement. He's already done,
Right.
right? He he won two Grand Slams the last year of his full time playing, like,
Right.
and was getting the job done, and then it hit him, right? Same thing. You think about Fed. This is a little bit while ago, and you have to consider that like he retired in 2021.
Mhm.
He only played one tournament in 2020. Obviously, it was because of the
COVID.
COVID-19, but he semifinaled Australia that year,
Yeah.
right? The year before, I think he won Dubai, he finaled in Wells, he won Miami, semifinals in Garros, he won Hala, final Wimbledon. He was playing good tennis in
Sure.
2019, and then
Sure.
led up to 2020, and then
Man.
retired in 2021, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so now we take a look at Novak, right? 2023 was an amazing year. He wins Roland Garros. I mean, he wins Australian Open, Roland Garros. He lost to Carlos in Wimbledon, wins the U.S. Open, right? Won Paris Masters. He won Cincy Masters. He won Tour. He was lights out, right?
Yeah.
Last year, Australian Open, limps into the Australian Open. Like, this is the center, I think, in the semifinals, but like was pretty much cooked. Uh, Goes into French Open, gets hurt, has to
Yep.
pull out in the quarterfinals, right?
Yep.
Comes back somehow, makes the final at Wimbledon. Fantastic, wins the Olympics. So now we're looking at a very interesting situation with Novak, right? Now I'm just
Yeah.
laying out the like
Sure.
what happened to you know, his his cohort up to the time where they called it quits.
Father
It
Time is undefeated, Alvin.
it is, and I think
Yeah.
we're watching it, and I think he's
Yeah.
watching it. I think he knows it that
I think
this
he's
could.
living it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I think he's living it, brother.
he's not an unaware man.
Now, I will say this. I will say this. I'm not willing to say Novak is done until Novak says he's done because I would never rule a brother out. I do think he peaked too early in Miami. He put the absolute beat down on the main man, Dimitrov, and in my opinion, actually peaked a little early in that tournament, which is something any player can do. You don't know when you're going to play phenomenal. He actually played phenomenal that match. My only problem is I haven't seen him play as well since.
Or
And that
before, really. I mean, well,
well
he played
before
well in Australia. He played well
played
in
well
Australia.
Australia. I'm just saying
Yeah.
when I
Beat
say played
Carlos and
well, he played Novak esque that match. Efficient, surgical. I think he missed 6 total serves. Alvin, have you ever? You and I might miss 6 serves if we're trying to get 20 in a row in the out wide corner. I mean, 6. He missed 6 serves, Alvin, in a 2 out of 3
yeah.
match and a semi of a ATP 1000. Think about what I'm saying. That's surgical. That's precise. Now, I'm only saying he started to look like the old Novak for a small, brief period of time. I had almost, because of Australia, ruled him out. And he came back and he looked as sharp as he ever did. And I was like, man, Novak is looking sharp. I think on this podcast, I might have even said, hey, watch out for Novak. He's still a threat. Novak has not looked that good since that match. Now he's dinged up. He's got some injuries again. He's 37 years old. I get it. We did it. We did an episode on age on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
on this podcast. I am not going to rule Novak Djokovic out until he rules himself out.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair.
However, I have not seen that level of tennis from him since. And there is blood in the water, both from this tournament in Madrid as well as others. And I just don't know, Alvin. I just don't know. To your point, I'll give you another one in there, Alvin, as I finish my point. To your point, the drop off was very quick and unknown.
Yeah.
Pete Sampras, Alvin, also had a quick resurgence in '02 when he won his last slam and snuck out the back door before Father Time robbed him of a very unsightly career end. And he was able to go out on top in '02 when he won the US Open. But toward the end, not 1990, in 2002, he would have, in my opinion, suffered a very similar low end drop off, right?
Yeah.
Falling off a cliff, which is really what you're describing. You're saying they played well until they didn't. And then it dropped off fairly quickly.
And
I think that same thing happened to Pete Sampras in '02. He wouldn't have done well in '03. He barely won in '02, to be honest.
Yeah, he was not playing well all of 2002. I mean, he probably could have retired in 2001 if he wanted to. But
100%.
I think the
they
kicker is, yeah, well, hell, you got the slam. We'll give it to him.
Yeah.
I think the kicker is it's not the ability to get to the same heights, right? These guys can all hit their peak, like, and we know this is, aging athletes. Like I can look good tomorrow. I can look as good as I ever did tomorrow.
Right.
But I can't do it again on Tuesday. And then again on Thursday. Like that's what it is. It's the ability to, and that's what tennis and specifically Grand Slams require of you, right? To do it and then come back and do it again for 2 weeks. And yeah, that's the tough part, right? But that's
we're seeing it with LeBron, with the Lakers. We're seeing it with other players in other sports. We're seeing it with with some of the top players in golf. I mean, the top guys just don't have it day in, day out, and how could they? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's my point, Alvin, and I think that you're hitting on something. I think what I'm taking from what you're saying is that he may have already hit that point.
Do you think he right now, because he pulled out of Rome, right? He's not going to play Rome.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got a tournament scheduled that's the last one? Because in my head, I think he does. I think he does. I'll say it out loud.
When you say he has a plan, like as if that's his last,
like he knows when he's done, and he knows what the tournament's going to be, and I think it's sooner than anyone thinks it is.
See, I disagree with that. Here's why I push back. He is so confident in himself and his work ethic that he knows on any given day, I'm better than any of you on your bad day. Even at my age, even dinged up, you're going to have to play phenomenal to beat me. And if you're phenomenal, you're going to have to play good to beat me. I think he still thinks that there's a chance that a Cerundolo, that a Rude will take out one of his competition and give him a easier route to the semi/final. That's what I think he's playing for. And that's the only thing he's playing for, in my opinion.
But for him to be in a position to take advantage of that, though, he needs to be ranked high enough, which means he needs to do well in the other events. He's putting himself in a position, not putting himself in a position. He's not doing it by choice, right? But like by the results that he's putting up so far in the tournaments he's not playing, that ranking is going to continue to slip. And rankings
points
make
defended
seeding
gone.
Yeah, rankings make seedings and seedings make draws, and that's like now we're talking about, does he end up with a like a Carlos or a Sinner in the third round, and you can't, like, what are you gonna do about it?
Right. And around 32 or around 16, you're right.
Yeah. Now, do you need to go like you have to go through Sinner and then go through like Rude and then play Zverev in the or like something like that? Like it's like now it's making the whole I just want to win slams a lot more difficult.
And at that point in time, I think if he takes some of those L's at that point, to your point, I feel like, and yeah, we know Novak. Novak's going to work the system. He's going to pull a wild card. He's going to pull out. He's going to do whatever he needs to do to try to compete and be relevant. I would say to you, this French would be one of the first times. Sorry, second time. I think it happened in Australia. This would be one of the second times it's happened to him where he's fully faced with mortality. And now tennis mortality, and that I am at the waning days, not months, not years, waning days of my career. And I'll be honest, Alvin, I saw Serena go through it just a few years ago. I saw Rafa go through it a few years ago. I saw Roger go through it a few years ago. It's a very sad time, you know what I mean? But
Nothing
it,
sadder than seeing Roger Federer walk off center court Wimbledon taking a bagel from friggin' Hubie Hurkacz as
yeah,
his last
yeah,
professional tennis match. That image is seared into my brain, and he
sure.
deserved better than that.
And
So
he
yeah,
should have. And to my point, talking talking about my main man, talking about my main man, Pete, I thought Pete was so smart by ending it on a high note. I think
right.
Pete kind of knew, yeah, it might be done. You know what I mean? And at that point, this thing, but you can't tell one of the greats that he is no longer great. I remember watching a TNT episode one night, and Kennedy Jet Smith said, "You can't tell me that I can't make that jump. I've made too many of them over my career." So what you need a point guard that's smart enough to not give me the ball when I'm in a slump. And
Right.
I thought it was a great comment. He says, because if you give me the ball,
I'm gonna shoot.
I'm shooting the ball. I know I'll make that shot. I don't care if I'm 0 for 8. I'll make the next one. And his
So
point was the point guard has to be smart enough to know that I won't take the shot. So I
well,
don't give it to him because he'll take the shot.
unfortunately, Novak is the point guard. He's the shooter. He's also
and
he's the
and
center and the
and the
coach.
center and the coach,
He
right?
also owns the
So,
team. Okay, so
so
here's my okay. So this is what I think, because your point about Pete Sampras is very like in tune with where I'm going here.
okay.
I think Novak ain't out here to be like Grigor and like Monfils
Right.
and like Stan, right? He's not gonna just like play the hits,
Right. Right.
getting in on wild cards or like hanging on, trying to make top 20 or whatever like that. He's here for the
He's here for the
slams, and that's
slams.
it. He's
Right.
got plenty of things to do in his life outside of
Sure.
playing tennis. So like, you know, I feel like this is gonna be a little wild, but I'm dangerous. I don't think he's gonna play Roland Garros. I think he's actually gonna
You
pull
gotta
out.
be kidding. You're out of your mind.
Wait, oh, it gets better. It gets
Okay,
better.
talk to me.
I think it's Wimby and out.
Oh, you think no
I think
French
it
and Wimby out?
no, I think no French. I think he plays Wimbledon and he retires. Like I think we're I just don't feel like he actually cares that much. And of the tournaments that mean the most to him, I think it's Wimbledon. And because he can he got to the final of Wimbledon on one leg last year, right?
Yeah,
It's not as taxing as the rest of them. He
right.
hasn't he can't seem to get himself through a Grand Slam right now, right? He pulled out against Zverev in the semifinals of Australia, right? Um,
But
last
but he but
year,
he pulls out because he can. You know what I mean? And let's face it, Alvin, that match he was hurt. I mean, I think we all understand he was hurt,
yeah,
right?
but
He
that's
he would
gonna
have pulled out
happen.
5 years ago
That's what's
if
gonna
he
happen
was
if
that
you're
hurt.
in your sixth match in 12 days. Like that's
And
on
you're
hard
37,
court in the summer, right? Yeah,
right?
exactly. But
Yeah,
hey, they're all 3 out of 5 sets, and they're all 2 weeks long. So, but
yeah,
Wimbledon's the one that hurts the least, and he can
yeah.
old man his way like post up game against these kids
Yeah.
on grass. Like he just kind of push them around a little bit.
Moses
Yeah,
Malone,
exactly. We're gonna move. Yeah, oh, just run over here.
lean in.
Right? Yeah, he got there. He got to the finals on one leg last year, and Carlos had to play like lights out to just beat him in straight. So like I said, it's a
I
wild
like where
assertion.
you're
I
going with it
understand.
because you're throwing it out there. I think that is next year's Australian. I'm not too far off from where you are. I just think it's next year's Australian. He's one of the greats. I think he's going to want that one of the greats farewell tour a little bit. Um, Australia was his first. I think he'll want Australia to be his last. I agree with you. I don't think he'll play many no Frenches after this, but he's got to give this one a shot. That's why he's trying to kind of double down and pull out so he can be ready for the French. Wemby, to your point, I agree. He's won the U.S. Open recently, Alvin, and so my mind, I think he's still thinking, yeah. But if you two just so happen to run into somebody, he's actually quietly hoping that Jakob Mensik Ben Shelton, right? Somebody will come through and bring the L like he needs, right? They will take care of that one round he needs to move through and get the matchup he wants. If he plays Demonar, Allen, if he plays Tommy Paul, I mean, let's face it, he would prefer that matchup to a long, grueling, a center. And I'm not going to say Jakob Messick's an easy round. I'm saying though there are better rounds for him depending on the matchup. And I feel like as a result of his want to prove himself at number 25, much like Serena did her last couple of years, right? She kept going for number 20. Was it 24? She kept going for that.
24, yeah.
Kept trying to go for that one. I just feel like he will go through the rest of this year. And I think that he will start to get the picture that I'm a little bit dinged up. I'm a little bit a step slow, and I'm a little bit not ready to play these things year in, year out. And I really want to spend more time with my family. And I agree with you on the point about he doesn't have a chance to win. He's not going to hang around. But I think knowing how hard he works and how much he feels his body's a machine, he will not admit that soon.
Right, but that's the difference between him and Serena, though, because Serena was getting to finals of Grand Slams. Like right now, we're in the midst of Novak not being able to get through tournaments.
Sure.
So that's and losing in the first round of these like other offhand events. Like that's the difference, and I think that's also like we talk about Serena a lot, and then I think we talk about her as much as we should. But like when she was going for that record-breaking slam, she did get to the finals and lost to Halep, who played the best match of her life, right? We'll get to the finals of the U.S. Lost to Naomi at the U.S. Open. Lost to Bianca Andreescu, who played amazing as well. Yeah, sure. These women all like played the matches of their lives, but it was in the final. She was there. She was still there. Like, okay, we'll see with Novak. I don't want to spend too much time on him. I do want to make sure we talk a little bit about
it. And I like how bold you're coming out. I like it. I just don't think it's as soon. I don't disagree. Maybe we disagree on the timetable, but I don't disagree in general.
Yeah, July's aggressive. July's aggressive. I know that, but I feel like if he were to win it, it might change depending on if he wins it or not. If he wins it, I definitely think he's out. If he wins Wimbledon, I feel like he wants to win, go out on top, and call it.